South Hartford 911. What is your emergency?
Three people.
Ma'am, what's the problem?
3 people are dead. I killed them.
Ma'am.
We're starting off the new year with a tale of demonic possession. Well, I guess there's nowhere to go but up. Hello there, everyone, and thank you once again for tuning in to RealScreenReviews.com. I am, of course, movie critic Nick Yacobucci, and our next movie review is The Devil Inside. The Devil Inside opened on the first Friday of 2012 on January 6th and stars, I hope I get this right, Fernanda Andrea, Bonnie Morgan, Evan Helmuth, and Susan Crowley. This film comes to us from director William Brent Bell, a former art department and special effects man that started as a director for 2005's Stay Alive. He now finds his sophomore outing in the director's chair, still in the realm of suspenseful horror, and can he take a better budget, more talent, and deliver a better film? Well, we'll see. The Devil Inside tells the tale of 20-something Isabella that is on a desperate search to find out the truth as to what happened to her mother 20 years ago. Her mother admitted and was convicted of killing 3 people, and because of this was sent to a hospital for the criminally insane. It seems that all these years later that it has come to light that these fatalities were committed while under the Catholic ritual of an exorcism. Isabella will now travel to Italy and employ the talents of 2 very young and unorthodox exorcists, and they will help to try and find out what really happened prior to her mother's 911 call way back in 1989. Before this tale comes to a close, the audience and the main characters will both come face to face with the likes of pure evil, and have we successfully started off the new year with a scare? Well, people, we started off 2011 with a so-called horror film entitled Season of the Witch with Nicolas Cage, and that film still made my worst of the year show 51 weeks later as picked by my guest critic Chris Bucci. I'm very happy to report that 2012 has started off much better with its own horror debut of The Devil Inside. Is this spectacular? No, but this is actually one that flew by as one of the better horror films since last year's Insidious or Zack Snyder's remake of Dawn of the Dead from a few years back. It embraces the graphic horror and terror while utilizing it to its absolute best. This film, just like The Last Exorcism or Paranormal Activity, is shot like a documentary or in realistic style. I actually think that the documentary style adds both believability and credibility when trying to pass off a made-up storyline as true. Something else that works in the film's favor is the addition of unknown actors. It would be very difficult to take George Clooney and Julia Roberts in a movie that's supposed to be a documentary about the supernatural. However, the small but effective cast in this film pulls it off nicely. Now, the guts of the movie, pun intended, hits the bullseye and came off very creepy and scary. The scenes where the exorcisms were taking place were genuinely frightening, and I found myself clenching my fists more than a few times throughout the feature. Then the mental hospital that they go to in order to see Isabella's mother feels like a perfect blend of prison and the place where they kept Hannibal Lecter. Let's just say that you really wouldn't want to have a sleepover there. You have to, however, tip your hat to actress Susan Crowley, who brings to life one of the creepiest screen personalities in quite a while. Her possessed mother will change personalities and voices at a moment's notice, and it's rare that you feel both fright and sympathy for the same character. Now, even though I thoroughly enjoyed this film, there were a few things that I need to point out. First, it needed to be longer. I could have used about another 10 minutes leading into the finale, and just as in the same style of the similar The Last Exorcism, it just ends. It's almost as if the filmmakers just ran out of money. Even though there is clearly more of a story yet to be told, the filmmakers just said, well, I guess we're going to have to end it right here. I mean, that really kind of stinks for the audience. Also, The Devil Inside could easily be considered convenient in 1 or 2 spots. I mean, this girl travels all the way to Italy, and after only one group therapy session, she is best friends with active performers of exorcisms. One thing leads to another, and in about 15 minutes, she's an active participant in one. When it comes to exorcism movies, I think that I am just spoiled after 2005's The Exorcism of Emily Rose, because that film perfectly blended a real movie with a tale of exorcism. I clocked The Devil Inside at around 80 minutes, give or take, and even though it could have been a little longer, it was genuinely creepy and realistically scary. The scenes of terror far outweigh any dull moments, and there are 2 or 3 spots that are just in-your-face horror at its most entertaining. This is what I would describe as a non-traditional horror movie because it's not your typical slasher flick, and forgiving some flaws is above average in regards to the horror and scary movie genre. Nick's Real Screen Review is a solid recommendation of 3 stars out of 4 for the possessing demons of The Devil Inside. And remember people, I'm not always right, but only when it comes to the movies, and thank you for your attention.
That's my brother.